Nakahara Chuya. Birth and early life. Born April 29, 1907 in Yamaguchi Prefecture, Japan. His father was a highly regarded army doctor stationed in Hiroshima and Kanazawa. In 1915, when Chuya-san was just 8, his younger brother died of an unspecified illness. This tragedy sparked an interest in poetry, and it became a sort of vehicle for his sorrow. In 1920, having just entered middle school, he submitted his first 3 verses to a women's magazine and a local newspaper. He initially favored the traditional Japanese tanka style of poetry, which follows a 5-7-5-7-7 phonetic syllabic format. 3 years later, in 1923, he transfers to a school in Kyoto, moving in with a young actress. Stylistic change. As he matures as a poet, he begins to write in the free verse style, inspired by the Dadaist poet Takahashi Shinkichi. He leaves for Tokyo, where the Dadaist movement in Japan is centered around. Here, he meets his contemporaries Kawakami Tetsutaro and Oka Shohei. They published their own poetry journal titled Hakuchigun, which translates as idiots. Kindred spirit. In Tokyo, he befriends a famous literary critic, Kobayashi Hideo, who introduces him to the works of French poets Arthur Rimbaud and Paul Verlaine. He falls in love with their work and proceeds to translate some of their works to Japanese. Rimbaud, in particular, was uncannily similar to Nakahara as a poet and a person, mainly due to their bohemian style of life, and even shared the unfortunate fate of an early death to illness. Lack of early success. 1925, his on and off relationship with the actress Hasegawa Yasuko ends, and he moves in with his good friend Hideo. Major publishers generally rejected his work, seeing it as too radically different from traditional Japanese poetry. Instead, he found moderate success with smaller, less critical magazines and usually local newspapers. Another aspect of his style was the rhythmic, lyrical quality of his poems. His latter years, all the way up to his death. From April of 1931 to 1933, he was enrolled in the Tokyo College of Foreign Language, focusing on French, probably due to the fact that he loved French poetry, mostly Rimbaud and Paul Verlaine. He married an unnamed woman in December of that same year, 1933, and he had a son the following October. Tragically, however, his son died of internal organ complications just after his 2nd birthday. This event drastically affected him and caused a nervous breakdown from which he never fully recovers. The last of his poems showcase a remembrance of his own life and allude to the obvious pain that the death caused him. He was hospitalized early in 1937, just a couple of months after the death of his son. He's released after a month, but however, as he was planning to return to his hometown, he dies that same year of cerebral meningitis at the age of 30. His legacy and the aftermath. Many of his poems were unpublished until after his death. They were released in a collection by Oka Shohei titled The Complete Works of Nakahara Chuya. Because of his lyrical style, many have been added and or adapted into songs, most notably 2 complete albums by folk singer Tomokawa Kazuki. In 1996, his hometown of Yamaguchi established the Nakahara Chuya Prize with the help of famed publisher Kadokawa Shoten. It's awarded annually to collections of poetry thought to appreciate and demonstrate emotional influence and understanding. Some fun fact pop culture references. In the space opera anime Space Battleship Yamato 2199, a character is often seen carrying a collection of his poems. Current manga and anime Bungo Stray Dogs has a character named and based after him. A bone. Look at this. It's my bone. A tip of bone torn from its flesh. Filthy, filled up with woes. It's the days of our lives sticking out. A blunt bone, bleached by the rain. There's no shine to it. Innocent, stupidly white, absorbing the rain, blown back by the wind, just barely reflecting the sky. Funny imagining, seeing this bone on a chair in a restaurant packed to the gills and eating mitsuba, leafy and boiled. A bone, but alive. Look at this. It's my bone. And is that me, staring and wondering? Strange. Was my soul left behind, and has it come back, where its bone is, daring to look? On the half-dead grass, on the bank of a brook, in my hometown, standing and looking, who's there? Is it me? A bone sticking out, a bone stupidly white and high as a billboard.